Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Adelaide versus Geelong game that happened on the Friday night, in which Adelaide, even though they smashed, the stats look like they smashed them in the midfield, Geelong just absolutely smoked them in the end, and Geelong really should have won this game pretty comfortably. I mean, they had like 7 goals 4 and something, and then they ended up with 14 goals 12, and they kicked 2 goals straight or whatever to end the game. So they ended up kicking 5 goals, like 8 or 5 goals 9 in the space of about a quarter or so. So it really ended up Geelong just keeping Adelaide in it, and Adelaide, fair to them, their midfield was collecting a lot of the ball, but it wasn't as damaging. And then the introduction of McHenry into the midfield or onto the wing actually really helped. But yeah, the Adelaide, just their midfield mix, it will get a lot of fantasy points and it will win a lot of clearances, but they're not going to be damaging clearances, and a lot of teams are just going to outrun them and stuff like that. So if they got outrun by the old Geelong side with Paddy Dangerfield, Tom Stewart, who's 31 now, Jeremy Cameron, Colin Jasny, as well as Tom Hawkins, as well as new guys in Mullet, Nevitt, Clark, Manor, and so yeah, and they even had the Stanley off at one point and Blicavs rucking, and they still couldn't get an advantage. They even were losing the clearances with Blicavs in the ruck. So yeah, it just looks not the best for Adelaide at the moment, and they got to switch something up. They got to get a quicker player, a line breaker into that midfield, else they're not going to really challenge. But anyway, before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So Jordan Dawson 131, and you'll see in the back half of this game he went started to go nuts, 27-28. So he had a half time at 55, which isn't necessarily the worst. He was going all right, but the last half he went 76, got up to a 131, and yeah, really started to dominate. 12 tackles, I believe, something like 4 marks, so just non-disposal points were there, and yeah, they just need to get the ball in his hands more. He should be a 30 touch per game player rather than 25, 24, because if you're getting him around that mid-20s, he's not doing enough damage. Crouch 110, another guy that I missed, and I'm looking at ways of getting him in this week. It's Jackson, Grundy, or potentially Martin that are probably going to have to go for me to be able to grab him. So I'm going to grab him just because I have a feeling that he will be able to get the fantasy points that we need, and he will be a 100 guy, so almost a top 8 guy in itself, or a top 10 guy in the midfield. And I feel like it's about a week before he starts going crazy in terms of his rises, as he's going to get down to like a 40 break even, as well as the fact that he only had, I think, 4 marks and 1 tackle. So I think like if he can get those tackles up, he could easily be a 4 tackle, 4 mark guy, and that levers only needing 72 points through disposals. And I feel like he can get 30 to 35 disposals a game, in which 10 to 15 will be kicks, which is 30 odd points, and then 20 odd handballs as well. So yeah, I feel like he's going to get that sort of 100 to 110 very easily. And so yes, it was one that I missed, and if he's and I think that he can be the guy. I don't think he has a secondary position on the field, whereas I feel like Laird does. So I think the easy fix for Adelaide, and I know they won't do this, is to push Laird to halfback, move out like a Brodie Smith or something like that, and then bring in a Saligo or a McHenry into that midfield rotation, as their midfield rotation is just too slow and one-paced and focused on contested handballs rather than actually breaking the lines. So yeah, Matt Crouch, definitely one that I missed, but I'm going to react to it in both AFL Fantasy and Supercoach and get him in, because it's as simple as that. Supercoach, it will just be a Wines to Crouch trade, simple as that. Yes, we miss out on points in the first 2 weeks out of Crouch, but we don't miss out on too much, to be honest with you, as there's no price rises yet in Supercoach. Laird 105. It seems like his game is getting a little bit drained by Crouch being there. So yeah, he just is a little bit unlucky at the moment. So I reckon if he goes to half back, he will still go a 95. I just don't think he'll go the nuts sort of ratio that he needs to go. So not too worried. O'Brien 102. Ruckman, he just had one of those games against the Ruckman for Geelong at the moment in Stanley and Blickarves. You're going to get 40 hit outs if you attack Ruckman, and he did that. He got a goal and I believe a behind as well. Or was it not counted as a behind? So yeah, he got a goal as well as another shot on goal as well, and had 40 odd hit outs. So yeah, he just did really well. Hinge did really well for 90. Worrell, Walker, Saligo. You can see a lot of fancy points actually in this game, 1630 to 1510. Rankin did all right. McHenry, look at this, 20 in 6 minutes, and then 51 in the last. And he also had a handball and a tackle taken away from him at the end of the game to go back to 71. So yeah, he did crazy in that last quarter and really provided run. If he was on the whole game, he would have, obviously, I don't think he would have gone, what was that, probably on track for somewhere around that sort of 200 range if he was on for the whole game. So I don't think he would have done that. But he definitely provided a lot in that midfield. I think it was something like 6 tackles, 6 marks or something like that, as well as 10 odd disposals. Rochelle was all right, but he wasn't crazy and did a lot of his work in the first half and then did nothing in the second. Fogarty, Burgess, Miller, Butts, McElhaney, Smith, he had a horror of a game. Keane, Jones, Berry got subbed out, and I think rightfully so. He's just the same pace as Crouch and basically is Laird 2.0 in my opinion, and that is just, you cannot have two of the same guys in the midfield, of the exact same guys, and then have another similar, just taller player in Crouch. So that midfield is just way too one pace. And then you've got Dawson as well, who isn't necessarily line breaking, but at least he's got that damaging kick that separates him slightly. But if you have only a damaging kick outside of a contested midfield of 4 guys, you're not going to get anywhere. That's why they need a McHenry or a Saligo in there, and as the Sydney do with Errol or Chad Warner or even McInerney spending time in there to create run. Papley's also spent a lot of time in there for the Swans, because you have guys like James Jordan, Heaney, and Rowbottom that are very one-piece contested guys. That's why you'll never see a midfield really of a Rowbottom, James Jordan, and also who was out there? Heaney. You're probably never going to see that 3 in a midfield. You're going to see at least one line breaker in there. Then we move over to Geelong, and Tom Stewart 114, 10 intercept marks, absolute crazy game. Only a 135 in Supercoach. I thought it probably deserved more, but I guess his short kicking, they don't really value that as much. But yeah, absolute crazy game, and looks on track at the moment to be, was it now 6th All-Australian? I know way early in the season, but he has started the season really commanding. Myers 109, he started off really well and continued on, I guess. Blickarves 104 did pretty much everything around the ground and got involved, and yeah, he's a great utility. Dangerfield 103 looks potentially injured, which could help Jai Clark, hopefully, as Jai Clark again just got sat on the bench. But yeah, if it could be cramp, could be a slight 1 to 2 week hammy. So now not to, it will only help us with Manor and Clark if that is the case. Parfitt 95, Holmes 81, probably showing that Holmes isn't going to be the Nick Martin or type of mid with DPP that we want, as I think Stewart is taking a lot of that chip ball and also the kickouts, it looks like. So yeah, not too worried about Holmes getting away from us, and it is just grabbing up Stewart and probably Nick Dacos as well to finish up. Stewart, Dacos, and if Nick Martin slides back, but if it's someone else, then, but yeah, Stewart and Dacos are definitely ones that we need for the back 6. O'Connor started the game on fire and then just faded. Stengel, Close, Cameron, Henry, DeConing, Colin Jasny, Tui, Henry, Dempsey a 53, so not too damaging for those who weren't able to get him. Only probably 40k or so. Stanley, Guthrie, Manor, 45, so looks like his cash gem will start. Could potentially bring him in. I'm just thinking there's probably going to be another forward option that pops up. But if it's a simple Campbell to Manor, then I'll probably do that, as Manor didn't really get involved and still got his way up to a 45. Clark, a 45 as well, pretty good from him. Just getting that cash gen going, he'll go up 14 or so K, 15k, and then have probably a 15 break even, 10 break even, and he has the role to pump out 80, so I'm probably not going to be trading him out. I think Campbell's going to be the one that goes. out of that forward line, as I want to get out of that half forward type of role that Campbell has, that I think Manor gets some run through the midfield, or at least presses up a lot more than Campbell. So I think that's just a better role. And then Mullen, I don't think will ever be a fantasy prospect. And then Nevitt came on for 4 minutes and 7 seconds, but it was the last 73 seconds of the game. There was just 2 or 3 goals that happened that made it go on for a little bit longer, and that's why he had 4 minutes. Or maybe he was activated or whatever, and he couldn't get on, so that's why it was 4 minutes and 7 seconds. But anyway, that is pretty much the video, a 10-minute video, so happy with the length of that one, going through all the players that were relevant. Crouch, I need to jump on quickly, as he's going to get away from us, especially if they continue with him in the midfield of Dawson and Laird, as that midfield is just... Yes, they're winning statistically wise, but if you go into the advanced stats of it, I think you'll find that their midfield, their clearances, if there was a damaging scale for clearances, I think you'd find that it's not as damaging as what Geelong's were. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next recap, which will be the 3 games from Saturday, and they will be recapped on the Sunday, and then you'll have the Sunday games recapped on the Monday, and that'll be that. I don't think we have any... I won't have to go into Tuesday for the recap, so it'll be a little bit slower week with one less video, but at least it'll be a lot easier to plan out, etc. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next recaps tomorrow. Bye, guys.